الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So inshallah ta'ala that normally that we'll have our lesson in discussing the book Arba'in an-Nawawiyah, but seeing the situation that we have changed for today, and rather than start the next hadith in this selection of hadith of An-Nawawi rahimahullah, that we will pause for today and we'll try and continue after the break. So regarding An-Nawawi, Arba'in an-Nawawi, that will continue after the break. So as we know that we'll continue after the break, so as to still benefit from the time that we'll continue what we had started yesterday. So yesterday that we had started discussing certain points that at the talib al-ilm that he should be mindful of and try to implement regarding his journey in seeking of knowledge. So the book that we have chosen to discuss as a reminder to ourselves regarding the importance of talabat al-ilm and of those things that should be in place, that the book that we have chosen, it is referred to our title Khamsa wa Ishruna, that 25 nasiha li talabat al-ilm. So it's 25 nasiha advice to the talib al-ilm. So we have covered most, just over half this amount regarding those advice, the advice to the talib al-ilm. So today inshallah ta'ala we just pick up from where we had started regarding those advice. So we had stopped regarding so we discussed of those points that we discussed concerning hifz al-lisan. So we discussed of those things that hifz al-lisan, the person preserving of his tongue, min kalam illa fil khair, except so the person trying to speak, use of his tongue only regarding things that they will be of benefit. So only to speak more so for the talib al-ilm in times of benefit. So we discussed concerning that matter. That's number 14 in this. That's number 14. So we discussed that point regarding concerning hifz al-lisan. We said that applies to the Muslim in general and even more so the talib al-ilm. So more so the talib al-ilm to be mindful regarding his speech, and whenever anything is said or spoken, it should be of benefit. Then after we discussed the point that come after, which is an-nasiha al-khamis al-ashar, which will be the 15th in this series that he mentioned, iyaka wa taqlid. So the next of those points that is mentioned here, iyaka wal kadhib. Iyaka wa taqlid. So also I think we started discussing this point, or we mentioned this point regarding taqlid, that of those things that for the talib al-ilm, that not for him to approach regarding Islam by way of taqlid, where he comes somewhat, he have narrowed his way of how he approach Islam, where he sees Islam from a one-eyed approach, where he sees things only from one lens and not looking through all the lens regarding Islam. So especially regarding that from the ulama, he only benefit from a particular alim or from a particular group. And by way of, so you'll find that those who, by way of matters regarding ahkam shar'iyya, that they see themselves following a particular madhab, and they do not go outside that madhab. So those madhab that are established amongst the Muslims, historically, we have the madhahib of the Ahnaf, the madhab of the Malikiyya, the madhab of the Shafi'iyya, and also the madhab of the Hanabila. So these are of those madhahib that are prevalent amongst many of the Muslim. So a person sees himself as he's attached to one of those madhahib, and he does not go outside. So anything that he accepts as being correct, representing Islam, is based upon the lens of that madhab. Anything outside this is unacceptable. So that's concerning a taqlid. And also taqlid, it comes in the form also regarding a person aligning himself fully to a particular individual. So what we find, so you find of the madhahib that it occurs regarding the madhahib al-arba. Then also you find regarding ashkhas, individual, where some individuals that they'll see themselves attach themselves only to a particular person. Whatever he says, it goes. If it is not said by him, then it is not per se given much attention. And also they will test people by that individual. So if you align, you accept my sheikh, then you're okay. You get wala. And if you may disagree with that sheikh, then you get bara. Then they'll disassociate themselves from you. So that of those things of at-taqleed that the Talib al-Ilm should be mindful of, not to fall into this approach regarding Islam. So we spoke something about, we mentioned about taqleed in the session of last night, or the one that we had, we discussed concerning at-taqleed. Then we discuss next after this concerning al-nasiha as-sadis al-ashar, so the one that is the 16th in this these points that are mentioned here. He mentioned iyak wa kathrat al-kalam wa dahik. So also of those points that we also covered yesterday, that as an advice to the talib al-ilm, to not be of one who that he likes to speak a lot. So speaking a lot, so and also laughing a lot, playing about unnecessarily a lot. Then also of those ways of the character of the talib, he should not be of this. So regarding concerning the the behavior and the conduct and the adab of the talib, he should not be one who he enjoys speaking, hearing himself, and also things of dahik, also like to play around and laugh a lot. So these are things that they mention regarding the talib, that to be mindful of, as that would somewhat diminish him in the eyes of the people. It is stated here by, this is Ba'da Hukama, one of the people of wisdom. They mention Hukya and Ba'da Hukama Ra'a Rajulan, that he saw a man yukthir al-kalam, a man that likes to speak a lot. Wa yaqil as-sukut, and he didn't per se like to speak a lot and not per se be silent, not to listen to others. So faqal, so it is said, Inna Allah, that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, innama khalaqa laka udhunayn, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He created for you 2 ears, wa lisanin wahid, and 1 tongue, liyakuna ma tasma da'afan mimma takallam, so as you hear more than what you speak. Fine? So the person have 2 ears, so you can listen more, and 1 tongue, so you should listen more than you speak. But when you find that a person is opposite, he listens less and speaks more. So he's doing so the kind of somewhat hukama, people of wisdom, they see it as something of a bad characteristics in a person. I would say in particular concerning that regarding even more so the talib. More so the talib, he likes his voice to be heard. Then we discussed that point yesterday, so we go to the next point that is mentioned, an-nasiha as-saba ashar, which is iyak wal ma'asi. So we discussed concerning al-ma'asi, meaning concerning indulgement in things of ma'asi, things of sinful deeds. So indulgement in things of sin. So we had mentioned regarding that it can be a hirman, it can be like a block, a barrier regarding al-ilm. So the person who indulge too much into ma'asi, then that can stop the person regarding ilm. Also, of ma'asi, it can tarnish that talib's reputation. So the talib who's involved in things of ma'asi, then eventually it will tarnish his reputation. So the talib, he tries to avoid those things regarding ma'asi. So of those things to be mindful of. So the thing they mentioned regarding al-ma'asi, that the talib tries to avoid, and especially regarding minor sin, especially in particular minor sin. So they mentioned regarding concerning as for saghair, which is minor sin, as-saghair min al-ma'asi wa dhunub, that also for the talib, that also to avoid what is said to be said to be minor sins. As I mentioned, فقد تحول إلى كبائر, where these minor sin that they could escalate to major sins, escalate to something major, لأسباب, due to reasons. Of those reasons where a minor sin might be elevated to a major sin, they mention إصرار والمداورة عليه, where a person is continuously involved in that minor sin. So he's always involved, falling into that minor sin. So then eventually it elevates to a major sin. So إصرار على الصغائر يتحول إلى كبائر, that a person who is constantly doing of a minor sin, then it will be elevated and becomes a major sin. But originally it's a minor sin, but because of continuous indulgence of that thing, then it becomes a major sin. The mention istisghar al-ma'asi wa ihtiqariha, also a person that looks down upon minor sin. Doesn't per se give it much, no, it's a minor sin. So you put it aside. So looking down, not giving much attention to minor sin can then cause the person to fall into major sin. So the person is somewhat always looking down on minor sin, then it said now afterwards start to pile upon them, and it becomes of major. What I mentioned al-far bifil ma'asi as-saghira, also regarding the person that they find joy in carrying out minor sins. So it said minor sins, but they still find joy in doing this. Then that becomes problematic. Then that becomes problematic for the talib and the Muslim in general, and also fi'l al-ma'asi thumma muhajara biha, and also the person that may have done carry out a minor sin or a major sin, but also the person that is somewhat is openly proclaiming this to others, openly doing this, bring it to the people's attention. So the person may be involved in a minor sin, but now also is bringing people attention to this. So doing things openly, drawing attention to this, then that also can elevate that minor to major. So you find that the Salaf mentions, so the person want to mention about their past regarding the sins or their lifestyle that they used to be involved in, is not in any way for them to kind of somewhat to try to glorify this. Because then glorifying that becomes major sin. And also even the person might be involved in certain sin of the past that is not befitting for it to be mentioned after. Because at the time of mentioning certain things that the person may be involved in without a reason, and is kept in a small group that needs maybe to know information, then others who may be weak-hearted may fall into that. Because you're speaking about that thing. So the shaitan might glorify, might beautify, might entice them to that thing. Because you did it. And they sometimes want to have that experience. Because you talk about your experience, what you did and all those things. But yes, you may make tawbah from it, but because you are mentioning this to the general public, so you find a person may be weak-hearted, may try to experience that thing. So in general, concerning that ma'asi that are done, then the person should not publicize those things. So publicize ma'asi, then the person needs to consider there's ahkam that goes with this. There's rules that goes with this. So instead of those people who at times that they do these motivational speech and they speak of their past, that they need to consult with the kibar, with the mashaykh regarding doing those things, as to see what is the maslahah, what's the benefit of this, and going into details. So the person might mention certain things, but they go into details, then those things can be problematic. So those things need to be discussed with the mashaykh for the person who may indulge in that, especially those people who do these motivational speech. And also at times al-ma'asi, that for the talib al-ilm that may be involved in ma'asi, because in doing of this, then other people might follow him. Other people may see that, look at the talib al-ilm, he's doing it. So khalas, then I'm going to do it. So the talib al-ilm doing of things of ma'asi, even saghair, then it becomes like others may follow him, follow his example. Because every talib Depending on his interaction with people will see him doing things and people might follow him. So of the things that are doing even minor sin, that they fear that other may follow is example. And by so those are the things regarding of the setbacks, regarding of in those cases where saghair may elevate to kabair, where people now start to follow your example in those things of minor sin. The next of those things that I discussed regarding to the talib al-ilm, regarding points that he should be mindful of, النصيحة الثامن العشر إياك والغلو. إياك والغلو. So of the thing that they mentioned, a point regarding al-ghulu, and I think yesterday we finished at this point. So we finished regarding ثامن عشر al-ghulu. So is there إياك, a warning, a caution against al-ghulu. So تحذير, a caution against al-ghulu. So for the talib al-ilm and for the ummah of Islam in general, not to fall into ghulu because of the evil consequence of this. So more so for the talib to take a balanced approach regarding Islam. So of this regarding concerning that we had mentioned regarding concerning that in this thesis that they mentioned for the talib, that they break down regarding al-ghulu, concerning that the person exceed the limits, tajawuz al-had. So ghulu, tajawuz al-had al-shar'i. So any limits, boundaries that have been set, put in place by the Sharia, and one wants to cross that, then the person will fall into ghulu. So the Sharia have boundaries. Anyone who exceed those limits, then the person fall into ghulu. So they mentioned regarding concern, and by way of the Sharia have caution against al-ghulu severely. So they mentioned regarding concern of ghulu, that they break down into, it fall into different areas of those al-ghulu, regarding concern for the talib and those mutadayyin, and those people who are mutadayyin. They mention al-ghulu fil aqidah / manhaj. So those people who at times may go into ghulu, go over the top regarding matters concerning aqidah and also matters regarding al-manhaj. So aqidah, regarding certain points, you'll find that most of those people went astray from the Khawarij, the Mu'tazila, the Qadariyah, is because of their ghulu of certain masail that relates to aqidah. So ghulu, as an approach of the Khawarij, they went over the top regarding the ruling that they passed on others. So the Khawarij, that they went over the board regarding matters relates to al-iman, regarding who is said to be within Islam and who leaves Islam. So they see regarding that the person of man, the one who fall into a kabira, murtakib al-kabira, the one who fall into a major sin, then he has left the fold of Islam. So the fact that you fall in a major sin, you automatically have left the fold of Islam. So you find that those who went overboard regarding their judgment upon another Muslim, and they still continue today. We find regarding concerning al-ghulu, regarding concerning al-ahkam al-shar'iyyah, people go over regarding what's concerning aqidah and manhaj. So you find of ghulu regarding this matter, we find that a manhaj where others, some all regarding, if you do not take the same position as we do in a matter regarding ijtihad of that alim, then if you disagree with us, then you're automatically off, or you're off. Then those matters need to be put in their proper context and look at as to how the ulama have approached these things in a balanced way. So generally regarding al-ghulu in matters concerning aqidah, and of the person al-ghulu in aqidah, the person concerns that the person, as they mentioned, that they eventually use concerning al-mumayya, a term that is used that is of a more contemporary term, kalam yani, that's a contemporary term that's concerning mumayya, meaning concerning those people that they see as watering down Islam. Those watering down Islam regarding concern to that they cannot see everyone as whether you are Sunni, Khalafi, then everyone is Mashi al-Hal. They don't make any distinction regarding the person who's upon the correct Aqidah and the person who's not. If you are Salafi, Hashari, Maturidi, khalas, you're all Muslim, everything is good with everyone, which is not the case. So regarding concerning that matters regarding al-ghulu fil aqidah, one have to be very mindful of this, and by this, and to upholder not to fall into ghulu, that you take the position of the Salaf al-Salih. That regarding concerning massive aqidah, that a person ensure that the aqidah that he uphold, it is in line with that of the Salaf al-Salih. وَأِمَّةِ الْكِبَارِ مِنْ الْخَلَفِ الصَّالِحِ. Then they mention regarding next of those things of ghulu fil ibadat. So ghulu regarding ibadat, where people go overboard regarding ibadat. And you find that creep also concerning the Khawarij. Ghulu in matters concerning al-ittiqad, but then also it finds its way in matters concerning ibadat, as some matters that they are linked. So because of their ghulu of the Khawarij regarding concerning that certain masail al-fiqhi, that also they go over the top on those things. So in matters of fiqh, that a person, for example, matters of fiqh, the person into a masjid that he is not familiar with, then, or he may be familiar with that masjid, but he doesn't want to pray behind that imam. But he doesn't know, you understand? He does, because he may listen, you understand? So because he doesn't know the imam, as he was said, I don't know his aqidah, what he's upon, so I'm not praying behind him. His hal is majhul, he's unknown. I know he's the imam, but I don't know whether his aqidah is sound or not. So based upon, I don't know him to be affiliated to my group, my party, so I'm not going to pray behind him. So the person, by this, they will pray in their house, even though the masjid is beside them. The masjid is beside, but the masjid is close enough. But they'll avoid the masjid because that masjid, they disagree with them. So you find that this ghulu, sometimes the person now is salat, he doesn't pray in the masajid. He doesn't pray in the masajid. For him to pray for one masjid, have to go from one end of the town, 2 hours to go to a next city, just to pray Jummah, because he doesn't see any of the people local are suitable enough for him to pray with them. And that's ghulu. So ghulu, it kind of somewhat then starts to creep into the person, matters concerning ahkam al-shar'iyyah, but still have some of those masail of aqidah that they also attach to matters of this nature. Also, al-ghulu fil mu'amalat. Ghulu fil mu'amalat, or the people deal with others. So mu'amalat, kaif, that a person see as ghulu, that is mutashaddid. To the extent, if I don't know you, I see you are Muslim, and he said, no, you seem to be a person mutadayyin. Now, the person wearing thobe above his ankle. Now, he see that you seem as a person who's, you understand, mutadayyin. But because he don't know you, he don't give you salam. And if you give him salam, he don't respond. Because he doesn't know you. Your face is not familiar with him. So mu'amalat al-nas, that they can somewhat the rights of the people, also they can somewhat and the person. So if you're not affiliated with them, then there's no salam and no karam, as they mentioned. There's no good dealings towards that person. They're quick to tarnish your reputation because you're on the other side. Then I also mentioned al-ghuru al-rabi' fil adat. Ghulu fil adat. So ghulu regarding concerning that, like general affairs, general practice. So regarding concerning that al-ghulu, that it falls into these things. So the person has to be mindful regarding al-ghulu. And al-ghulu, asbab al-ghulu kathira. Asbab al-ghulu, reason why people fall into ghulu is many. Of those things, al-jahl bid-deen. Regarding concerning those people, concerning of the reason behind al-ghulu, of the reasons, al-jahl bid-deen. The person have a lack of understanding of the deen. Regarding the masadir, regarding concerning what is discussed, regarding the masadir, regarding concerning al-maqasid, masail, so they have ignorance regarding makanatul ulama, so they have an ignorance of these things. So they have a set, so everything for them is somewhat is viewed in a particular way that is somewhat over the top, and also of the reason ittiba al-hawa. So in the long run of ghulu, ittiba al-hawa, ittiba al-hawa. The next of those things that are covered, so that's concerning al-ghulu. The next of those points that are covered in this thesis, they mention al-nasiha at-tasi' ashar. Al-nasiha at-tasi' al-ashar. Which I mentioned, ta'allum adab ad-dawa. Ta'allum adab ad-dawa. So regarding concerning the da'i, so concerning the da'i, in some way he may be involved in dawah. And the people are the du'at who have learned that they are the first point of reference regarding ad-dawah. So those people have been trained that they are the first call regarding ad-dawah. So if they are not directly involved, they indirectly, they're giving kind of somewhat advice to those people who may be more underground doing the dawah. So you find that, so adab, so concerning ad-dawah, that concerning ta'allum adab ad-dawah. So for the da'i, he has to learn the usub of dawah and learn the mannerism of dawah, as is a da'i. So it's a da'i when in the masjid or outside the masjid, because people see him as an example. People see him as an example. So regarding concerning the da'i, that he has to learn certain, and we find that, concerning ta'allum adab ad-dawah, you have some books now that kind of somewhat cover concerning usul ad-dawah. Regarding concerning usul ad-dawah, that to study what are those things that relates to dawah, how to deal with people, how to deal with people also in matters concerning dawah. But the person wants to be, it's concerned, so the first point, the first line regarding, first rank of people regarding dawah are the tullab, are the talib al-ilm. Nam. So of that, they mentioned, so another point regarding concerning of ad-dawah, we said also a known concern for ad-dawah, also known concerning what are the shurut ad-dawah. And you'll find that there's many people out there giving dawah by way of organization or by way of individuals. So you find many da'wat that are out there, many people concerned from the Muslim who are giving dawah. But the point is, how can we identify the correct way of dawah? Who's doing the thing, who are doing this dawah correctly? How we make that distinction? Because everyone who's calling, not everyone who's calling, giving dawah out there, they are upon the correct way. And this is not by what we see out there, that's a proof in itself. So you find that du'at, if you were to go take the place in central London that people go to on Sunday, to see the people who go there, and if you look at the main ones who go there, that they're all in up there, each upon something but the other person is not upon. So you find the main ones, each have their own little dawah that is different from the other person, that may contradict the other person. Not in everything they disagree, but you find noticeable contradiction on fundamental issues. So this one is calling to his thing, this one is calling to something separate, this one is calling to something separate, and at times they clash, and at times in front of the general public. So regarding a person who go into an environment like this, then they must have studied ahkam al-dawah or usul al-dawah, how to function in an environment like this. We find that there's other du'at, we're sharing the same we're in the same area. How do I be a part of this in giving dawah? How do I manage this situation? So regarding concern, so the person involved in giving dawah, then they have to study concerning usul al-dawah, wal-adab al-dawah, and the likes. So they mentioned, so as something that is mentioned, so said that there's ad-dawah al-najiyah, wad-dawah ghayr najiyah. Ad-dawah al-sahiha, wad-dawah ghayr sahiha. Because we said, if get three of those individuals and they're calling to, they have clear differences on fundamental matters. So just to think about the hadith regarding this matter, regarding ad-dawah, the hadith the hadith of Hudayfa ibn Yaman in the Bukhari. And Bukhari rahimahullah, when he mentioned concerning, he mentioned Kitab al-Fitan. So in Kitab al-Fitan, that matters regarding al-Fitan, the trials and tribulations that will affect the Muslim, that he discussed of those hadith, the hadith of Hudayfa ibn Yaman, the hadith of Hudayfa ibn Yaman, ta'ala anhu. So he mentioned regarding the hadith, of the points it mentioned regarding that, Hudayfa ta'ala anhu قال كان الناس يسألون عن الخير وكنت أسأله يعني رسول الإسلام عن الشر. So he said that the people used to ask the Prophet ﷺ on things of good, but I used to ask things about the evil. Then he mentioned why. Then he mentioned مخافة أن يدركني, because I fear that this evil may overcome me. So he asks about evil because he wants to, he can know what the evil, so he can avoid it and not be overcome by it. So sometimes a person not knowing of the evil, you may fall into it not knowing. So he mentioned that based upon this concern of his, then he mentioned فَقُلْتُ, then he started to ask certain questions. Ya Rasulullah sallallahu inna kunna fi jahiliyyah wa shar, that we used to be in the time of jahiliyyah and evil. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned فَجَعْنَ اللَّهِ بِهَذَا خِيرًا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he brought this good. Then he started to ask a question. Then he mentioned that فَهَلْ بَادَ هَذَا خِير مِنَ الشَّرِّ, will there be after this goodness anything of evil? So in a time where Islam was safi, Islam was pure, but then in a time that things will now, it be now used that things, not that things will creep into what people claim to be Islam. The Prophet says Nam. So after this goodness, there can be a time where things will creep into Islam. People claim things to be of Islam that is not of Islam. So that's of the things of the shir. Then when he asked of the shir, then he asked the Prophet, then he mentioned فقال فهل بعد ذلك الشر من الخير, then he mentioned نعم, then he mentioned فيه دخن. So at a point there will be some dakhan, some things that will kind of somewhat taint, stain things, and he called it as a dakhan. Something will enter upon it. Then I mentioned what is that dakhan fakal. Then he mentioned regarding concerning this matter when he described of this shar of this dakhan khal duat ala abwab al-jahannam. So he mentioned, before that he mentioned that dakhan ma dakhan. Then he asked concerning what is ma dakhanahu, what is this thing that will enter upon this the Islam or this matter. Fakal qawmun, a group of people. Yahduna bighayri hadi, that a group of people that they'll invite to other than my way. Qawmun, a group of people. I'm talking about a qawm of people. Yahduna bighayri hadi, that other than my way. So it shows that the Prophet ﷺ indicating that this dakhan is by way of people calling to other than what I brought. So it said that other than is guidance. Then he mentioned, they asked concerning, then he mentioned regarding, then he said to them, ta'rif minhum wa tunkir. Also you will see things from them that you identify, that you are familiar with. Ta'rif minhum wa tunkir, thing that you are able to ta'rif, which is ma'ruf, that you can identify and align to Islam. And things also tunkir, and things that also that you object to, things that is not from Islam, so things that are foreign to Islam. So he mentioned concerning that you will find that at a time people who are calling to Islam, trying to guide others, but they have good and they have evil. They have good and they have evil. Then it mentioned فقال, then we ask again, then it mentioned فقال نعم دوات على أبواب الجهنم. So also he mentioned regarding concerning of those things that will creep in. He mentioned with the shahid دوات على أبواب الجهنم, that you find that there's people who are duat, callers على أبواب الجهنم, and they're on the doors, they're sitting on the doors of Jahannam. فقال من أجابهم, the one who respond to those duat, من أجابهم إليه, the ones who respond to their call. فقال قذفوا قَذَفُوهُ فِيهَا, that they will fall into it, meaning Jahannam. So it shows regarding that we have people who du'at, but they'll be calling, sitting on the abwab of Jahannam. So not every dahi is all upon good. Not every du'at is all upon good. So it says now, if you find that in our end, if you look out there, you find all these du'at calling to things that are contradicting. They're going at each other. Some are things that we can recognize, but also they have things that we don't recognize. And recognize as those things that when they're recognized, they're known to be things of khurafat, bidah. But they have things, they're called to salat, they're called to siyam, but also they have other ideas and practices that are strange to Islam. But they all du'at. So I mentioned du'at ala abwab jahannam man ajabahum ilay qadafuhu fiha, that those who respond to them, that they'll fall into this. They'll enter into Jahannam. Then, so it shows regarding concerning that, yes, they're du'at, but not all of them are the same. If they said that everyone is calling to the same thing. So we have to have a scale to measure them. We have to have a scale to measure who's calling to Islam in its pure form, and those who have a Islam that is somewhat been contaminated. And the contamination, that is the things that are the munkarat that they come with. So I mentioned regarding that, then the companion asked regarding concerning, then they asked, in continue to ask concerning, regarding this man faqal, the Sahaba concerning, sifhum lana. Faqal, he mentioned, or they faqal, qultu, then he mentioned, sifhum lana. Can you describe them to us? So the thing that he asked, describe them to us. Qala alayhi salam, in their description, as I mentioned, sifhum lana. Describe who are these people. Faqal, hum min jildatina, that they are from us. Jildatina, from amongst us, from our people. Wa yatakallamuna bi alsinatina, and also they speaking and they speak our language. So I mentioned they are from us, from our people, and also they also speak our language. So some mention for sure that the Arabs, so taken as they are from amongst our ranks. So in short, is that these people that are being discussed, they're not people who are outside us. They're people from internal, from amongst us. Min jildatina, that they're from us. وَيَتَكَلَّمُونَ بِأَلْسِنَتِنَا, and also they're speaking our language. Now, so if a person that da'i is calling to, is not calling to Islam, then we can someone put him aside, because he's calling to something else. But the one that becomes problematic are the ones that we said with that problem regarding they speak our language. So it shows that the reality you have to wake up concerning that. If you find a du'at calling to opposite dawah, we can't say everyone have good. Also, what are the evil? Tell us what are the evil that they also have, so we can avoid them. So you find certain people says, no, 1, 2, 3 people that they have disagreement, they all have good, but they all going at each other. So what are their bad? What are the evil that they have? What are the negative that they have? And are those negative? Then we have to reject. So let's see what scale they fall on, and it may be all of them need to be removed, or maybe some of them need to go. But we have to measure them. Regarding that, check the Aqidah, check the understanding. So check those points, those things that need to be checked, to make sure all the things are ticked off that needs to be ticked off. So that's concerning of the dawah regarding those matters. So this claim that some people try to make, that these people who maybe have difference between themselves, all of them fihi khair, everyone fihi hud. And trying to somewhat, not try to, they're trying to, what's the word? Try to show that they don't want to criticize anyone. So they're trying not to criticize anyone. So that someone try to show that, that they're tolerant to everyone, but those people have clear opposing ideas. So ask those, all of them out there who go to the concerning matters regarding Aqidah in details, they may not know certain masail. certain matters regarding the hukam of the Muslim. You want to see that, then you might find certain views that are strange. Regarding the ulama, you might find certain things that are strange. Certain masail, so you might find certain masail, certain matters, we find that their view that they take is completely different. Opposing view. So that these things need to be need to be taken seriously. So they mentioned the Prophet of Islam is caution against this matter. Caution against this matter. Then they mentioned regarding Udayfa mentioned, قال فما تأمرني إن أدركني ذلك. What do you command me? Meaning the Prophet of Islam, what do you command me if I was to experience this? If I was to go through this, or this was to meet up with me, what do you advise me? فقال عليه السلام تلزم جماعة المسلمين وإمامهم. That you too all stay to the main body of the Muslim and the Imam. And that concerning Jamaat al-Muslimin, Ahl Sunnah wal Hadith. Ahl Sunnah wal Hadith. So that's concerned that matter. So is known concerning adab of the da'i, knowing those adab that he should possess as a da'i, and also of those things that the shurut ad-dawah, knowing of those things the person wanna go forward in giving dawah publicly. The one who wanna give dawah publicly. The next of those points, tadarruj fi dawah, which those points regarding concerning an-nasiha 20. So this is an-nashir 20, which would be the 20th point, tadarruj fi dawah. So of those things that relates to dawah. So most of the points that he mentioned regarding a dawah. So as we said before, the person wants to be involved in dawah, that we have to look to see that that person, what's his track record regarding his study of Islam. To what extent he has studied Islam. So the person who said, and we're talking about a person who's what? In the public eye. The person who's in the public eye giving lectures, he wants to teach, he wants to confront people in the public, debate people. Okay, what's your qualifications? You want to give lectures. What's your qualifications? You must have a qualification. If it's about dawah, because he said you can't call to something you do not know what it is. And the call is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So of those things that the da'i, so what's one's qualification? And the person might say the qualification that those people who graduate from university think that they have a monopoly on this thing. That's not the case. So concerning the qualification, it is not restricted to a person being a graduate of an Islamic university, whether in Saudi Arabia, whether in Egypt, whether here or there. We said Islamic universities. So the thing is that even a person come from an Islamic university, then also he has to be scrutinized. What did you study? You as the da'i now, after you have completed your studies, what's your level of commitment to Islam? What's your level of commitment? What ideas that you now hold? Because a person may graduate from a university, but when he finished and he kind of somewhat did the exam and put the answer that they wanted, but at the end, but he had contrary ideas. So when he leave now, they start to come out. So those cases occur. Now said that, of a personal story, that in university in the 4th year, that I had a classmate. Then after a while he was missing. So one of the other classmates that I know that was more closer to him, from the same countryman, I asked him, what happened to classmate Fulan? So he said, he'd been expelled. He'd been expelled from university. So I said, why? And he's like, Talib. Strong. So I asked, what happened? So he said, he was expelled. So a reason. Why he was expelled? So he said, it's not that what they found out, that he was harsh against Ibn Taymiyyah and have some evil things to say. So when the university found out that they put a lejna, like a body of some of the teachers, professors, somewhat to investigate the case. So of those things, they all brought him in a sitting and have a discussion with him. And then came out where some of the end result that they tried to have a munakisha, a discussion with him. So your view that you have, why you have these views, just try to respond to some of those views, and at the end they have to sign him off or sign him out. You have to leave. You understand? So a person may be in a university and may even graduate, but after his views, but he hid his views while he was there. Or when he was there, accept the views that were there, believe them, but then later on change. And we have cases of that. People that come back home to the West, they have gone to the kuffar institutions, and they can somewhat make a complete 360-degree turn. And those cases are maruf. So the person was in his prime, in his good days, he had a lihya, wear thawb, and was qala Allah wa qala Rasul. Now today he is Allah mustan wa alayhi tuklan. So it shows concern a hidayah. Having a degree, it doesn't mean hidayah. So I said no, for all the students also, we scrutinize them. So also, it's not restricted to a university in the Mamlaka. It's not to Saudi Arabia, nor restricted to Egypt or wherever else. So any students that come from an Islamic university, then we look to see what he represents, what he was taught, and what also he represents in the long run. What does he represent? And what he practices. So that's the scale. And also you find talabatul ilm, who may not go to university, but they study with the mashaykh, the traditional way. And even for the person who just stick to university, the person who go to a university, Islamic university, and stick only to their syllabus, then he will have some deficiency. He will have deficiency because university doesn't teach you everything. So they won't teach you everything. You have to top up while you're there. If you didn't top up, then you have to do it when you return back at some point. With me? So the person is there, the university of 4 years, whatever you said, will not teach you everything. So you have to top up. So while you're there, you benefit from the mashaykh that are there regarding the thing that you the thing that you need to top up on, then you study with the mashaykh in the masajid. So you find a student who gone to those university in those places, for example, in those places, and he didn't sit with anyone while he's there, then know that there's somewhat. Yeah, there's some deficiency. That's how I see it. That's my opinion. That there's some deficiency. So the thing that if you didn't top up, I know deficiency. And so when you come back home, you have to what? Fill those gaps. Because there is gaps. There will be gaps. Because they did not teach you everything. Now, for example, as an example, that in Qultul Hadith, I'll speak about Qultul Hadith. Because that's where I went. As an example. So in Qultul Hadith, that they teach when I was there, we had 4 years. The system that they have now is different. I'm not familiar with the new system. So then, for example, Usul al-Fiqh, which is an important thing to study. Usul al-Fiqh. But because Qultul Hadith is not, its specialization is a sunnah in all its forms. So ilm sunnah, it has different forms. Areas. So their thing is to study that area of ilm sunnah in all its areas. So for Qultul Hadith, Usul al-Fiqh is not of his main focus. But the talib who study Hadith needs Usul al-Fiqh. So you have to have some aspect of Usul al-Fiqh. So you study 1 year in Usul al-Fiqh. But that's not still sufficient enough. That's not sufficient. So 1 year in Usul al-Fiqh is not sufficient. Just like I said, a person who go to Sharia, they may do Ilm al-Mustalah. 1 year. That's still not sufficient. Because they do of the least of the Mukhtasar, you understand? So that will still not be sufficient enough. You need to top up on. So each person has to see whichever kulliyah that you study, what are the things that you need to, or the faculty that you're studying, what you need to top up on and fill those gaps. That's so we said it's no, that so each student needs to know concerning what the thing they need to. So the second, I don't know, we consider a traditional way but the traditional way, the person said he studied with a sheikh in the traditional way, that, okay, that what books you studied, how long. So a person might say, traditionally, you find a person might go to Misr before people go to Damaj in, or Yemen in general, Damaj in specific, then Nam. So when a person comes and said, I studied in those places. No, just Allah khair, that's good. How long you spend there? How long you stayed there? How long you were there? And how long you were there? Now, to make sure the story is clear, in Yemen, how long you spend studying. That's what I meant. How long you were there studying in the lessons. Not how I was there for 10 years. But yes, how long of that 10 years you were involved in studying. Because some people are there for 10 years, but they're not there studying for 10 years. Clear? So how long, how many years, how many time was spent in studying? And second, what were the things that you study? What were the things that you study? Hey, so whatever you study, so the person said, so what you studied? Perspective. The person studied, the person says, no, I studied, this. They know, okay, you study the books that you mentioned that you study are just beginner's book. Now, you're just studying beginner's book. So you're just saying you're a beginner. You're still a beginner, so you have gone to the intermediate, you didn't move to the intermediary stage. So I know, so you put in, the person is different in his bracket that is, or the place that is suitable for, by knowing the books that he had studied. Now, so the person that the Tulab themselves would know those things. Now, so a person might say, I went back home, which you find the cases, I went and I studied at whatever place with the Mashaykh, no problem. Okay, in Aqidah, what did you study? Name the books that you studied in Aqidah. The books in Hadith. The books in Fiqh. And to what level of, to what, they can now put things in some order and have a better understanding as to that person level. Clear? So, he mentioned tadarruj fi dawah and also regarding ta'aleem. Tadarruj. So something I found out, so that's concerned that matter that all have to be mindful of. That also regarding a dawah, it's regarding concerning that the talib, for him to read, him knowing his level. So the talib knowing his level, and that also, that will gauge his dawah. Clear, Ikhwan? So regarding concerning tadarruj, so he would know concerning my dawah is not on the highest level. So a dawah could be teaching the people. Dawah could be, instead of the Muslim in general, the dawah could be to the non-Muslim. So you have dawah for Muslim and non-Muslim. So yes, the gauge. Regarding concerning the dawah for the Muslim, that would depend on his level. Now, so you find, as I said, that some places, the dawah does not go outside Thalatha Usul, Qawaid al-Arba, wa Kitab al-Tawheed on a basic level. In Aqidah, the dawah, it surrounds Thalatha Usul, what we said? Qawaid al-Arba and Kitab al-Tawheed, and still on a basic level. To what was that? Wasatiyah, for some people who didn't study Wasatiyah, Tahawiyah in some details, that will give them some issues. Wasatiyah, Tahawiyah will give certain people, the person will give people issues. So you find that the ones that said, so that said those books are mainly concerning Tawheed al-Ibadah. As for concerning general Aqidah books, that you'll find that the books really will go outside, it said beginner's book, which would be Usul al-Sunnah, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, or al-Razi'ain. At some, when they kind of push it, of some of the points would be Kitab Aqidah al-Sabuni, where some of those points regarding Sabuni, they need certain clarity. Aqidah is a Sabuni. It's a Sabuni, I'm thinking. But certain books, You understand? So the person, but the person move outside, and those are beginners books. In most part, those are beginners books. When the person, as I said, the person at the elevate go to a next level, then that becomes problem. Ideally, so even ideally those books to teach them in English is difficult, but needs a person who have studied Aqidah and they are firm to go to the next level concerning the intermediary level. The person must have studied to a higher level to teach intermediary level books. Because you might find Aqid al-Razi'ain, I can bring you 6 different explanations on 6 different levels. So it's a small book, but the explanation, the depth of the information may vary depending on the audience and the level that Sheikh went into. So I can find, you understand, so books, there may be small books, that's Aqidah Tahawiyah. Small, maybe Risala, but the different amount of explanation, some of them go into volumes. And some pages, 100 less. Muqtasar, Wasatiyah, Aqidah Wasatiyah, you have explanation that goes into volumes. An explanation that goes into 200 and less pages. So it all depends. So you have the same book, and the amount of information may vary, and the depth of the discussion may vary. So I said about the intermediate level regarding concerning that, most of those who, most of what is studied is generally just for years, 20 years, still in the beginners books. Most of the masajid that are upon the sunnah, most of the books that are studied are still the beginner levels book after 20 years. Just an example, the book in fiqh, like the books of fiqh, that the ones who really teach of fiqh, like a book syllabus, will be a person, the ones we see go to a book, a fiqh book, are the ones who are graduated from a university. Look online. In most part, the ones who do a fiqh book, like they start and their intention is to complete the book, and they're going through the book page by page, will be a person who, in most of the cases that we have, are those who graduated from a university. As for the one who did not, that they may teach abwab. They teach abwab, the common abwab, salat, siyam. They would think twice about teaching zakat, hajj. So those abwab become, you understand, a little bit difficult. Now, so I said, so because, so I said, no, so that's just reality. So the dawah, you understand, is, so to know that, is, so of the person giving dawah is being mindful of those, so tadarruj. So tadarruj. So instead of just like, for example, a Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd, that of the thing that when he mentioned in his book, Hilal to Talabat al-Ilm, he discussed concerning tadarruj fi Talabat al-Ilm regarding like the syllabus to be followed or suggested syllabus that one can use. So he gave like a but it, so for the person have to go through fiqh, usul al-fiqh, qawaid al-fiqh, maqasid al-sharia, all that is fiqh. So to be a master in fiqh, then you have to study fiqh, usul al-fiqh, qawaid al-fiqh, maqasid al-tashri' or sharia, and also fiqh itself. So you have to study all of those, not just the beginner book. If you study the beginner book, then you just become a beginner. Then you just be in the world of a beginner, because you have a move forward, like a person who's in primary school, and all you're studying is primary school books. But you never look into the book of what? Secondary school. But then you present yourself as if you have gone to university. As if you have a degree. But the books that you have studied are all primary level. And you never really study The books, I want to say, second set, so you have a series of books that you have to study in the primary set as a beginner, in the primary beginning stage. So each science will have the books that you have to go through. Or some, yeah, so some, so you have certain books have suggested books, you have certain books in Usul al-Fiqh, suggested books to be studied, suggested book in Fiqh, suggested books. So you have those books that are the beginner levels. Then you have the next level. What are those? When you know the person the person might study one book in the secondary level. So, for example, Kitab al-Tawheed is a secondary level book with a shar. Kitab al-Tawheed is a secondary level or intermediary level book. With me? The person that may be the only thing that he studied in an intermediary level book. Ask him which book in Usul al-Fiqh you study in as an intermediate book in Usul al-Fiqh. Other than Warakat. Warakat does give you tarifat. Does give you understand, that's definition. But outside Warakat, what have you studied? Or Sheikh Saadi's book, Nam, that is, so those are beginners' book though. The idea those are that the beginners' book they give you like just tarifat. Latifa. Now, outside that, or a person might say even the same book, Usul. Nam? Usul fi ilm usul. But you understand, so that's still you need like a teacher. That you need a teacher to get a real benefit. But those books are still what? Beginner. Slight. So for the person who's going, what after that level, what books you have gone above those? Let's hear them. So the person said, I was in this lesson of Fathul Bari. I know you didn't, because you were in the lesson. You were present. I'm not denying that. But what did you gain in the lesson of Fathul Bari? That's the next matter. I mean, lesson of Mughni. Yeah, you were in the lesson physically. But as for what you captured, then that's a different discussion. So I said that you might find that most of the du'at, you understand, we said no, that when God said, you might find few who may go to, a secondary, which is intermediary level, that have his own set of books. Then you have above this, that will be now, that was a next level, that fewer. So you find that most of those masajid of some of the people are to the sunnah, the shabab, that they are still beginners. And the beginners did have study, just maybe said beginner level books in Aqidah. Just beginner level books in Aqidah. Fiqh, Usul al-Fiqh, Qawaid al-Fiqh, Mustalah, Usul al-Tafsir, Qawaid al-Tafsir, those things that are foreign to them. Those things, in most parts, will be foreign to them. So that's concerning those matters. So sometimes you find that person that something is, and then so something a person might display that I have these books in my maktaba. So just prove that that mashallah they're on a high level. Now, so you find the person who in their maktaba when they display books is books that come in volumes. Now, so okay, then what book did you study as beginners books? So you have all the big books, the major books. Where are the small books that you're supposed to have studied? Where are they? Because Al-Mughni, Majmu', and all those books are for people on the advanced level, specialized level, and you're not on that level. So having those books, and you have a master the smaller books, then it's going to be a problem in understanding those books. Because I said, you're swimming in deep end and you do not know how to swim properly. Now, says you find confusion. And you find that confusion amongst the masses. Then the next of those points that he mentioned, so tadarruj regarding a da'wah, that also the thing that the person will understand, what do I start with regarding a da'wah? So the person has to know concerning a da'wah, taking concerning the people that the person starts with a tawheed wa sunnah. Teach the person concerning the usul of the deen. Usul in aqidah, starting with shahada, at-tawheed, and also sunnah, with the ahkam of halal and haram regarding the basics in the person that is wajib upon the person, that the person has to carry out. So the person starting with those things, that will be the priority. And also regarding concerning that, so that's concerning the dawah. So ta'allum adab ad-dawah, we discussed that point. Ta'allum adab ad-dawah, that we mentioned that. He mentioned this concerning the adab, that the talib, that regarding concerning having rifq, know when to be stern. Regarding concerning that sulaba fil haqq, that a person to be firm upon the haqq, then there's that is praiseworthy. To be praiseworthy, to be sulabat al haqq, for the person to be firm upon the haqq, but also the person regarding ad-dawah, inviting others, teaching others, that a person also have to know when to use a rifq, when to be gentle, how to be gentle towards the people. And also hikmah, when to put things in their proper order and place. All those things are required. So concerning the da'ah, you have to have those usloob. Then he mentioned next regarding al-thalith wa ishrun, regarding al-hafid al-waqt. So the talib al-ilm also have to preserve his waqt. Now he has to account for his time. So talib al-ilm, that he has to account for his time, try to maximize use of his time. So regarding concern that his time spent regarding learning and teaching and deal with the people. So everything, so the talib al-ilm that try to maximize the use of his time. A discussion between the Mashaykh regarding that how much time is the talib al-ilm to put into, so use of the time regarding one while studying. So the person, like you're in the madrasa, in the place of study, whether in the masjid or in the university. As we mentioned that, the person can start to know how to make use of that time, that most of your time is spent studying. So the person, if he's in the university or is in the masjid, son of the sheikh, that his focus as a student is just learning. His focus, and also to divide concerning that also that, we said try to study of use of time, that he tries to cover all the areas regarding Islamic science, tafsir and Quran related topics, hadith and its related topics, fiqh and its related topics, seerah, lugha. So cover all of those things so he can be rounded. Maximizing use of time, planning his time wisely to benefit. Then also time spent regarding him doing research and reading. So for example, they discussed concerning today how much time the talib who have, for example, finished university, finished his studies with the sheikh, and he's now, how much time a day you should spend just reading. How much time should be spent just reading? How much you think is the least? In a day. So the talib now is a talib, but he still have to continue study. So the talib, when he's that time spent, so all his focus in when he's a talib, his son of the sheikh, all his time is spent just attending lessons. So he's a full-time student. That is the thing that, like sometimes of the thing that that I would caution, unless there's a valid reason for a talib who's like in university, to break from his studies, take out a year, not to do so unless it's a valid reason, a hardcore reason. Do not interrupt your study. So a person might be studying and can somewhat take a year out for what? A gap year. Why? I'm saying it's about people studying Islamic studies. Why? Okay, and if you took out a gap year, during that time that you take out, are you still involved in studying? If you're not, then you're not a talib. Then that's not a sign of a talib. You're only a talib when you're in university. So you take out that year and you're not involved in still studying. So if there's a legitimate reason, then you break. But then you're still continuing your studies. With me? Where you're doing, you have I'm going to take out a year, but I'm bringing certain books that I'm going to continue to study those books. I'm still continuing the program, even though I'm not there. I'm listening to the Mashaykh. So you continue your program. But if you stop everything, then are you truly a student? With me? So those are the things. So said no, it is not advisable for the talib to break unless there's a valid reason. A genuinely valid reason. So said the talib when he finishes studies, and finishes studies doesn't mean that the person he stopped the university, doesn't mean his studies stop. If he's a talib, it will still continue because he sees this as his life objective, his life goal, to be a student. So it always continue. So the person a talib, when he finishes university, whether he graduates or not, his studies does not stop. When he comes back studying with the Sheikh, his study doesn't stop. With me? So it continues, because if you went there to spend 10 years, 5 years, then when you come back, everything stopped, then you have just wasted what? What's that? Did you waste 5 years of your life, 10 years of your life? You could have done other things. So if you're true talib al-ilm, then that study program still continues. After you are finished wherever you are, wherever you were. With me, ikhwan? So, so I said now that talib have to spend X amount of day on a daily basis, a routine, a program. So that's what ulama mentioned regarding concern for the talib to be like, a talib and then be have 2 jobs. You're trying to, it's difficult. It's difficult. So you want to find that a work environment where you're involved in study. So work in a masajid or Islamic or dawah type of area, then that's ideal for the talib. Can't be a talib and you're a cab driver. It's going to be difficult. Or you're working a 9 to 5. It's going to be difficult. So is dedicating. You find that some people were doctors and give it up. But they said the least amount of hours per day, for some mentioned 3 hours. 3. 3 hours. But it's keep a regular routine. It's keeping a regular routine. X amount every day, the person is involved in doing something. And that's what having is maktaba. They mentioned after concerning al-rabi' wal-ishrun, which will be alayka bis-sabr ala dawa, which again concerned the talib also, and the da'i, the talib al-ilm, sabr ala ad-dawa wa talabat al-ilm. So as-sabr ala ad-dawa wa talabat al-ilm. So if the person involved in teaching, educating the people, be consistent and consistent in that. And if the person involved, so whatever the person involved in regarding dawah, having consistency and patience and endurance. So those are the points that he mentioned regarding some of the things that the talib al-ilm to be mindful of. So it said the person concerning as-sabr also regarding, see this being a talib al-ilm as something which is said a life objective, a life goal. Ila makbara. Talabat al-ilm, as I mentioned, mata, ila makbara. That until you go in the grave. Until you enter the grave. So talib al-ilm, that is a continuous process regarding talabat al-ilm. So it becomes now useful regarding that maktaba that all talib should have. The talib al-ilm regarding his maktaba become now useful, that when he, especially after he finishes, that for him to continue his studies. To end with, that Sheikh Bakr Abu Zayd, when he mentioned, so he mentioned regarding certain things regarding talabat al-ilm, that he mentioned qiwam maktabak, that the talib al-ilm, that he building a maktaba. So of those things regarding the talib al-ilm, that he has to have his own personal maktaba library. So the talib al-ilm will have his own personal library. Especially those who are said, on the advanced level. We're not here to discuss concerning what books you should have, but you have the Ummahat al-Kutub. Try to, so in making a maktaba, that it may vary, but the person try to have the Ummahat al-Kutub. Nam, and that's the next discussion. That's the next discussion regarding what will constitute those books are ummahat. Nam, the main books that the talib should have or have access to those books. Nam. But I think that he mentioned regarding of those things regarding for the talib being able to recognize of the ulama that their books, that their works, if you see them, buy them even with your eyes closed. You have some of the ulama that you see their books and you try to get hold of those works. Because those ulama are known to be of people that they are muhakkikeen of those ulama, that they're very precise and their works are very good and very beneficial. So you find that your maktaba will be of the works of those ulama. So if you see their name will be a common name to the talib, and especially because of their works. So if you see their works and you see the name on a book, then you buy it. Khalas. His name is on it. Khud. Take it. Nam. So he mentioned of those ulama that their name, they stand out regarding because of their works. Nam. So we give some and then we're going to ask you to assist. So for example, he mentioned here amongst ulama that he mentioned Ibn Abdul Barr. So you have Hafid Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, that he died, Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, that he died 463 al-Hijri. So you have Ibn Abdul Barr, and you have, I said Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, that any of his works that you see, khalas. So yes, Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, the work of, the book Al-Muwatta of Imam Malik. Muwatta of Imam Malik, he has a book called Tamheed. He mentioned here Tamheed. That's considered to be the most important book in explaining of hadith. Hadith explanation, that's one of primary source, according to the manhaj of Ahl al-Hadith. So you have Tamheed, and that book the latest print is about 20 volume. Then he has a book called Istizkar. Istizkar also is another explanation of Muwatta, but we have fiqh, of the fuqaha approach. That book, the latest print that just came out months ago, or just a month or a few months ago, that again is about 20 volume, 18 or so. Then there's so there's our two large collection. Then you have a next book, so that's of his main books, and you have other works. You have other works that he has done. Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, a books about the Sahaba and the likes. Isti'ab, that gives the biography of the Sahaba. So you have other books that are there that relates to hadith and his other topics. Then also we just mentioned Ibn Qudama. You have Ibn Qudama al-Hanbali, that's the author of Al-Mughni. But also you have other books in fiqh and other books. So Ibn Qudama works are generally works that one buys. Also the works of An-Nawawi, so Hafid An-Nawawi, his works also are beneficial. But I mentioned slightly regarding of certain at times in some of his works that matters regarding Aqidah, that he might mention certain views that are not in line with Ahl Sunnah. So now rahimahullah, at times in certain Masail al-Aqadiyah that might mention certain views that are not in line with the matter of the Salaf. Also they mention Al-Zahabi, others, Ibn Kathir, Udwan, Al-Mufassir, Hafiz Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali, Hafiz Ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani. He mentioned here Hafiz Al-Shawkani. He mentioned also Shawkani. Also he mentioned Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. So Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, so Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab and his works. Also, he mentioned Al-Kutub, Al-Ulama, Al-Dawa. So the students of Muhammad al-Wahhab, rahimahullah, that they refer to them as the Ulama Al-Dawa, wa Imat Al-Dawa. Also, matters, books of San'ani, Al-Amir Al-San'ani, Al-Yamani, the author of Subul al-Salam and other works. Allama Sadiq Hasan Khan, Kannuji, of the ulama of Hind. So Sadiq Hasan Khan, a lot of his works that are taken from San'ani wa Shawkani. So a lot of the works of Sadiq Hasan Khan are works taken from the works of Shawkani wa San'ani. Also, he mentioned Al-Allama Muhammad Al-Amin Al-Shinkiti, Al-Sheikh Muhammad Al-Amin Al-Shinkiti, the author of the book they call Adwa Al-Bayan. Adwa Al-Bayan, a book in Tafsir is a usuli. He was a qadi, usuli, faqih, wa mufassir. So he wrote a book called Adwa Al-Bayan, and also he has Mudhakkira ala in other works that he has. That the book, just a clarification, there's something, a point, that he has a book that is called Adwa Al-Bayan. The book in Tafsir didn't complete the book. But the approach of the book was, they said that the book concerning that, either clarify Quran bil Quran. So explain the Quran by way of the Quran. So it comes the book, it comes, for example, about 7 volumes, depending on the print. It comes in numerous volumes. If we were to say, but a lot of the stuff regarding concerning tafsir of Quran bil Quran, it will just form, as some of the mentions, just form maybe a volume of the numerous volume. Because it has things concerning ahkam, other thing that is mentioned. So the actual tafsir of Quran bil Quran, is not all the volumes. But if you were to put everything, but it covers other things regarding fiqh and other matters, qawaid, usul al-fiqh and all those matters, he covers lugha. But the matter regarding tafsir of Quran bil Quran, it may be of that collection be, they said no, it's a portion of it. It will be a portion of it. Then, so he mentioned he stopped at Muhammad Amin Al-Shinkiti. He stopped at Muhammad Amin Al-Shinkiti. So he mentioned about 15 names. Other names that may be missing. So, other names that may be missing. That, other names of some of the ulama that maybe can be included in this list, Allahu Alam, that Ibn Hazm Al-Zahiri. But his book for people who are advanced. Ibn Hazm Al-Zahiri. But for his books for people who are advanced. Also, we have others. So you might add that Ibn Malakkin, of those who have many works and they're now coming out, Ibn Malakkin. And others. So of contemporaries that may be added, Muhammad Nasruddin Al-Albani. Of contemporaries, Muhammad Nasruddin Al-Albani. Added to the list also the works of Ahmed Shakir. The works of Ahmed Shakir. He did a lot of tahqiq of books and also of his own works. But if his names, that you have a Muqtasar of Ibn Kathir. Also he did some work on the book of Mahalla by Ibn Hazm and some of the books of the Sunnah. So Ahmed Shakir, also his works are valuable. We mentioned Ibn Hazm, Ahmed Shakir, Shaykh Muhammad Nasruddin Al-Albani, also Shaykh Mu'min ibn Hadi Al-Wadi, of the ulama of Yemen, of contemporary times. So he has some books. So the works of Shaykh Muqbil, also one can benefit from his works. Also, Muhammad ibn Salih Al-Uthaymin, Muhammad ibn Salih Al-Uthaymin. And he has, so his works, mashallah. Sheikh works are mashallah. Mashallah. So some of his works that, so Sheikh mashallah, I've done a lot. I've done a lot regarding that he was like a madrasa. So he used to have like in his masjid, teach, and the amount of books that he adds, the amount of lessons that he has taught, and the works that he adds, that to find that of his students who came after, and they have like a muassis, like an organization that tried to transcribe his works from off tapes and put them into book forms. And it's like they're just pouring out. Pouring out. So as for his works, mashallah. So they said no, that if you were to have of any contemporary, the books of Ibn Uthaymeen would be sufficient. Yeah, them saying his books would be sufficient to build your own library. And to study those books, khalas. You can be an alim. then you have Muhammad ibn Hadam al-Ethiopi, one of Ethiopia. But his works, his works is more for a person and more advanced, and more for a person, not for a beginner. The beginner can benefit, but not to full extent. You have some of the Mashaykh that their works is that their work is the people who are of an higher level. Their works are for a person for a more advanced, more higher level, not for a beginner. A beginner would not start with their works. They work for a person who's above certain level. And you have some other contemporaries that can be included. Like you could include Sheikh Bakr Abu Zaid in this of his works. Sheikh Bakr Abu Zaid, you include his works. And also his language was very strong. So he was like a researcher. His language, or use of language, is very powerful. But also you could include his works. So also he didn't mention in this group that he mentioned, he omitted or didn't mention Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and also Ibn Qayyim. So Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi, that also their works. So those of them said, no, if you see those names, then khalas. They will say of contemporaries who are alive, of those who are alive, that the like of the works of Sheikh Fawzan. So the works of Sheikh Fawzan, Allah wants Sheikh Fawzan works for a person who's a beginner. It's good for people who are beginners. The works of Sheikh Fawzan are good for beginners. Give the foundation, as he explained things in a very simplified way, very clear way, very straightforward language. So his works for beginners are very good. Nam. You have others, but Sheikh Al-Raji, but most of the works are like explanation of works. So Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al-Raji, one of the students of Sheikh Ibn Baz, Sheikh Abdul Rahman Al-Barrak. So those are of the Mashaykh that that you see their names on book generally, those works that you can have confidence in those books. You can have trust and confidence in their works in most part. So that's concerning that name. So inshallah ta'ala will end here at that point. Wabillahi ta'ala tawfiq.